The massive dome of the Galactic Assembly Hall stretched high above the gathered representatives, its crystal walls showing the stars beyond. 47 different species sat in their designated sections, each group looking very different from the others. Some walked on many legs, others floated in energy fields, and a few looked like giant insects with clicking mandibles. Commander Lee Tae-ho sat quietly in the human section, wearing his simple blue uniform. He watched the other species with calm eyes, taking notes on a small tablet. Next to him, Ambassador Park Ji-woo adjusted her formal robes and prepared for what was about to happen. At the center of the Great Hall, Veltar the Wise raised one of his massive tentacles. The ancient creature looked like a whale that could breathe air, his skin gray and scarred from centuries of life. His deep voice echoed through the chamber. "We gather today to discuss the matter of the humans," Veltar announced. "In only 15 cycles, they have spread to 12 worlds and claimed vast amounts of resources. Many of you have expressed concerns." A loud hiss came from the reptilian section. Krexnal, the war leader of the hegemony, stood on his powerful legs. His scales were dark green with red markings that showed his rank. Sharp teeth gleamed when he spoke. "Concerns?" Krexnal's voice was like gravel. "These humans multiply like parasites. They take what they want without asking permission. They ignore our warnings and expand wherever they please." Murmurs of agreement came from several sections. The insect-like Yanara clicked her mandibles rapidly, which was how her species showed they were thinking hard. "The mathematical probability suggests the humans will consume 40% more resources within the next 5 cycles," Yanara said in her buzzing voice. "This creates unacceptable variables in our economic projections." Ambassador Park Ji-woo started to stand, but Veltar gestured for her to wait. "Let all speak their minds first, then we will hear from Earth's representative." A creature that looked like living crystal spoke next. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "The humans refuse to share their technology. They claim it is classified. For security reasons, this goes against the spirit of galactic cooperation." "Security reasons," Krexnal laughed, the sound harsh and mocking. "What could these primitive beings possibly need to secure? Their weapons are simple kinetic projectiles. Their ships use basic fusion drives. They have been in space for less than 200 cycles." More laughter rippled through the assembly. Even some of the peaceful species seemed amused by the idea of humans having anything worth protecting. Commander Lee Tae-ho continued writing on his tablet, his expression unchanged. He had expected this reaction. Every intelligence report had predicted the other species would underestimate humanity. Krexnal's yellow eyes gleamed with satisfaction as the laughter continued. "I propose we implement immediate containment protocols. These humans need to learn their place in the galactic order. A demonstration of superior force should make them more cooperative." "What kind of demonstration?" asked a floating energy being called Quintel. "Nothing too destructive," Krexnal said with fake concern. "Perhaps we disable a few of their outer colonies, show them what real weapons can do. Once they see our plasma, cannons and reality manipulators, they will understand how outmatched they are." The assembly buzzed with excited conversation. Many species nodded their various types of heads in agreement. The idea of putting the upstart humans in their place seemed very appealing. Veltar looked troubled, but nodded slowly. "The proposal has merit. The humans have been resistant to guidance. Perhaps a firm hand is needed." Yanara's compound eyes glittered. "My calculations show a 73.4% chance of immediate compliance after a show of force. The humans appear to value their colonists' lives." "Of course they do," said another representative, this one looking like a giant praying mantis. "Primitive species always form emotional attachments. It makes them predictable." Commander Lee Tae-ho finally looked up from his tablet. He caught Ambassador Park's eye and nodded slightly. She took a deep breath and stood. "Honored representatives," Park Ji-woo began, her voice clear and diplomatic. "Perhaps Earth should have a chance to respond to these proposals?" Krexnal turned to look at her, his scaled face showing obvious contempt. "Oh, yes, by all means. Let the humans explain why they deserve special treatment." Park Ji-woo remained calm despite the hostile atmosphere. Earth has always respected the sovereignty of other worlds. We have never attacked anyone or threatened their territory. Our expansion has been into unclaimed systems, following all established protocols. Protocols you barely understand, scoffed the crystal being. You have been part of our community for such a short time. You know nothing of galactic politics. That may be true, Park admitted. We are new to space travel compared to your ancient civilizations, but perhaps our perspective could be valuable precisely because it is different. Krexnal's laugh was even louder this time. Different? You mean primitive? Your ships still use chemical rockets for landing. Your soldiers carry simple ballistic weapons. What could you possibly teach us about warfare or technology? The laughter spread through the assembly like wildfire. Even Veltar seemed to smile, though it was hard to tell with his whale-like features. The sound echoed off the crystal dome, seeming to mock everything about humanity. Commander Lee Tae-ho stood up slowly. Honored Veltar, may I have permission to address the assembly? The ancient being looked surprised. You wish to speak, Commander? This is a diplomatic gathering. I understand, but perhaps a military perspective would be helpful, given the nature of the proposals being discussed. Krexnal's eyes lit up with cruel amusement. Oh, this should be entertaining. Yes, let the human warrior tell us about their mighty military! Lee Tae-ho walked to the center of the chamber, his movements careful and controlled. He looked around at all the different species, taking in their mocking expressions and superior attitudes. Thank you for this opportunity, he began. I have been listening to your concerns about human expansion and your suggestions for addressing them. And? Krexnal demanded impatiently. I was wondering, Lee Tae-ho continued calmly, if any of you have actually studied human military history? The question caught many representatives off guard. Yin Ara's mandibles clicked rapidly. We have observed your current capabilities, chemical explosives, metal projectiles, nuclear fission weapons, all very basic. That's interesting, Lee Tae-ho said, because our records show several of your species made similar assumptions about other races they encountered. The Valix Empire, for example, thought the Zorgs were too primitive to be a threat. Uncomfortable silence fell over some sections. The Valix Empire had been destroyed 3,000 cycles ago by the supposedly primitive Zorgs. Krexnal snorted. Ancient history. Are you trying to threaten us, human? Not at all, Lee Tae-ho replied. I'm simply curious about your intelligence-gathering methods. You see, from our perspective, it seems like you haven't done very thorough research. Ridiculous. The crystal being chimed angrily. We know everything about your pathetic military. 15 cycles of observation leaves no secrets. Lee Tae-ho smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a warm smile. 15 cycles of observation, of what we've chosen to show you. The laughter started to die down, as something in his tone made several representatives uneasy. Veltar's ancient eyes narrowed with the first hint of suspicion. What exactly are you suggesting? Yinara asked, her voice losing some of its earlier confidence. I'm not suggesting anything, Lee Tae-ho said quietly. I'm simply pointing out that your intelligence appears to be incomplete. Krexnal stood up angrily, his scales rippling with rage. Enough games! You humans think you're clever, but you're nothing but upstart primitives with delusions of importance. His harsh laughter filled the chamber again, but this time, fewer voices joined in. Something about the human commander's calm confidence was beginning to worry the more intelligent species. Lee Tae-ho just stood there, waiting patiently as Krexnal's mocking laughter echoed through the crystal dome. But the sound seemed smaller now, less certain than before. The first seeds of doubt had been planted. Dr. Kim Ha-neul sat in her small research lab aboard the space station orbiting Kepler 442b, one of humanity's newest colonies. Her screens showed detailed analyses of alien technologies that she had been studying for years. Each species had different strengths, but they all shared one major weakness. They had become comfortable with their superiority. She typed notes into her computer while watching a recording of the Galactic Assembly meeting that had happened 2 days ago. Commander Lee Tae-ho's calm voice came through her speakers as he questioned the aliens about their intelligence gathering. Smart man, she said to herself. Give them just enough rope to hang themselves with. Her research had taken her across dozens of worlds, always appearing to be a simple scientist interested in peaceful technology exchange. The aliens had been happy to show off their weapons and defenses, never imagining that a primitive human could understand their advanced systems well enough to find flaws. But humans had always been good at finding flaws in things. It was how they survived. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Captain Choi Min-ho's face appeared on her screen, his special operations insignia barely visible on his dark uniform. "Dr. Kim, I trust you've been following recent developments?" "Hard to miss them," she replied. "Krexnal is mobilizing his fleets. My sources say he's planning to hit 3 of our outer colonies simultaneously." Choi Min-ho nodded grimly. "Intelligence confirms it. He wants to make an example of us. Show the galaxy what happens when primitives get too ambitious." Hanul pulled up a 3-dimensional map showing the reptilian hegemony's fleet positions. Red dots marked dozens of ships gathering at strategic points throughout their territory. "They're using standard battle formation Theta 7, she observed. "Worked well against the crystal beings 50 cycles ago, but it has some interesting vulnerabilities." "Such as?" Hanul smiled and highlighted several areas on the map. "Their command ships always position themselves in the center for maximum protection. But that also means they're the furthest from escape routes, and their plasma cannons need 60 seconds to recharge between full-power shots." Noted. "What about their allies?" The map expanded to show ships from 6 other species, joining the reptilian forces. Hanul's expression grew more serious. "The insect swarms rely on overwhelming numbers, but their individual ships are fragile. The energy beings think they're untouchable because they can phase through most matter. The rock creatures have nearly indestructible hulls but move very slowly." Captain Choi Min-ho leaned forward. "And their combined strategy?" "Predictable," Hanul said simply. "Each species fights the way they always fight. They've never really learned to adapt or coordinate effectively. They win through individual superiority, not tactical innovation." "That's about to change," Choi said quietly. Meanwhile, in the reptilian command ship domination, Warlord Zolvek studied his own intelligence reports. The human military seemed almost pathetically simple to understand. "Their largest ship is only 800 meters long," he reported to Krexnal. "Our command vessels are 3 times that size. They have no energy shields, no reality manipulators, no quantum weapons." Krexnal's scaled face showed satisfaction. "How many ships do they have total?" "Perhaps 200 across all their colonies. Most are cargo vessels or small patrol craft. They have maybe 30 actual warships, and those are barely armed." 30 ships, Krexnal repeated with amusement. "We're bringing over 400 vessels to this demonstration. It will be like crushing insects." Zolvik nodded eagerly. "The other species are contributing additional forces. The swarm alone is sending 200 ships. By tomorrow, we'll have nearly 1,000 vessels ready to show these humans their place." Far across the galaxy, in a hidden asteroid field that appeared empty to most sensors, Admiral Yun Sung Min received the latest intelligence reports. His flagship, the Iron Will, was invisible to alien detection methods thanks to technology they couldn't even imagine existed. "They're really going through with it," reported Lieutenant Colonel Jang So-young, his intelligence officer. "Full assault on 3 colonies, maximum intimidation." Yoon Sung-min looked at the tactical display showing alien fleet movements. "How many civilians on the target worlds?" "About 50,000 total. All non-essential personnel were quietly evacuated over the past month per protocol." "Good. And our assets?" Jang So-young smiled. "Ghost Division is in position. Deep Space Fleet is ready. The colony's defense platforms are armed and waiting." The Admiral studied psychological profiles of the alien leaders that Jang had compiled. Over years of careful observation, each species had predictable patterns, weaknesses that could be exploited. "Krexnal will want to make a speech before attacking," he noted. "Standard reptilian intimidation behavior. He'll demand surrender and mock human weakness." "That gives us the opening we need," Jang agreed. "Full recording of their threats broadcast across the galaxy. Perfect justification for what comes next." The trading station at Nexus Prime, Merivak the trader tried one last time to warn the Galactic Council. His species had dealt with many different races over the centuries, and something about the humans had always seemed different. "Honored representatives," he said to the small group still willing to listen. "I have traded with humans for 10 cycles. They are not what they appear to be. Veltar looked tired. The ancient being had begun to have doubts about the coming demonstration, but it was too late to stop now. What do you mean, Mervok? They learn too quickly. They ask questions that seem innocent, but reveal deep understanding. And they never show fear, even when facing superior technology. Fear is irrelevant, buzzed Yinara. Mathematics does not lie. They are outnumbered 25-1. Mervok's tentacles writhed with frustration. Numbers mean nothing if you don't understand. Your enemy! The humans have been studying us for 15 cycles. What if they learned more than we realized? The other representatives exchanged amused glances. Even now, with massive fleets converging on human space, they couldn't take the threats seriously. Mervok, said the crystal being gently, your concern is noted, but perhaps you have spent too much time with humans. Their primitive confidence has affected your judgment. Back in the asteroid field, Admiral Yoon Sung-min received a coded transmission from Earth Command. The message was simple. Authorization granted. Show them what humans really are. He turned to his communications officer. Signal all ships. Operation Revelation is now active. Throughout human space, things that had been hidden for 15 years began to move. Ships that had never appeared on any registry powered up their engines. Weapons platforms that looked like mining stations revealed their true purpose. Soldiers who had spent years pretending to be researchers put on their real uniforms. Dr. Kim. Hanul packed her research into secure containers and prepared to leave the space station. Her work was done. The aliens had taught her everything she needed to know about their military capabilities, never suspecting that she was actually Colonel Kim Hanul of Human Military Intelligence. Captain Choi Min-ho's Special Operations Team materialized from what had appeared to be empty space around several alien outposts. They had been watching and waiting for years, invisible thanks to technology the aliens couldn't detect. In the Galactic Assembly Hall, the few remaining representatives watched long-range sensors as the alien fleets approached human space. The force was overwhelming, over 1,000 ships against a few dozen human colonies. It will be over quickly, Krexnal had promised. The humans will surrender after seeing our power. But some of the more thoughtful aliens were beginning to remember old stories. Tales of species that had seemed weak until they weren't. Wars that had been won by those who appeared to be losing. Quintel, the ancient energy being, flickered with uncertainty. Veltar, do we really know enough about these humans? The old whale-like creature sighed deeply. It is too late for doubts now, my friend. We will learn the truth soon enough. As the alien fleets moved closer to their targets, hidden human, sensors tracked every ship, every weapon, every communication. Plans that had been 15 years in the making finally moved into their final phase. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped pretending to be weak. The colony world of New Sol looked peaceful from orbit. Small cities dotted the green continents, connected by simple roads and basic transportation systems. Cargo ships moved slowly between the planet and its 3 moons, carrying what appeared to be normal supplies and civilian equipment. Admiral Yoon Sung-min watched the scene from his hidden command center buried deep beneath the planet's northern ice cap. To alien sensors, New Sol looked exactly like what it was supposed to be. A young human colony with basic defenses and a small population. Status report, he requested quietly. Lieutenant Colonel Jang So-young consulted her displays. All civilians have been evacuated to secure facilities. Defense platforms are fully charged but maintaining their disguises. Ghost Division reports ready status across all target zones. And the approaching fleets? Krexnal's forces will arrive in 6 hours. They're maintaining standard formation. Command ships in the center, heavy assault vessels forming the outer ring. They expect to find a few patrol boats and maybe some mining platforms. Private Nam Woo Jin, barely 20 years old but already a veteran of covert operations, studied the incoming sensor data. To most people, the alien fleet looked terrifyingly powerful. He had grown up hearing stories about their advanced technology and superior weapons. But his training had taught him to see things differently. Every ship in that fleet had weaknesses. Every formation had flaws. And humans had spent 15 years learning exactly where those vulnerabilities were. Sir, he said to Admiral Yoon. "The reptilian command ship is broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding our surrender." "Let's hear it." Krexanal's harsh voice filled the command center. "Humans of New Sol, you will submit to galactic authority. Immediately. Your primitive weapons cannot stand against our advanced technology. Surrender now and face only relocation. Resist and face complete destruction." The alien warlord's laughter echoed through space, transmitted to every ship in his massive fleet. "Look upon our power and despair. Nearly 300 vessels carry enough firepower to crack your pathetic world in half." Nam Woo-jin couldn't help but smile at the irony. If Krexnal only knew what was really hidden beneath New Sol's surface, he might not be laughing so confidently. Across the galaxy at Nexus Prime, Mervac the traitor paced nervously in his quarters. His attempts to warn the Council had failed, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. Not to the humans, to everyone else. He had spent decades trading with different species, learning to read their behaviors and predict their actions. Humans were unlike any other race he had encountered. They never acted purely on emotion or instinct. Everything they did seemed planned, calculated, purposeful. A communication came through from his trading partner on New Sol. It was his friend, Technician Moon Ye-jin, a human engineer who had helped him understand various technologies over the years. "Mervac," her voice was calm despite the approaching danger. "You might want to watch the long-range sensors today. I think you're about to see something interesting. Moon, get out of there. The entire reptilian fleet is coming to your world." "I know," she replied simply. "We've been expecting them." Something in her tone made Mervac's tentacles curl with worry. "What do you mean, expecting them?" "Exactly what I said. We've been ready for this day for a very long time." The transmission ended, leaving Mervac staring at his communication device in confusion. How could the humans be ready? They were completely outmatched. In the asteroid field where the main human fleet waited, Fleet Admiral Kang Hyun-soo received final confirmations from commanders throughout human space. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier was in position. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "we're receiving similar alien fleets approaching Kepler 442b and Ross 128c. Total enemy forces, 1,047 ships. And our forces? All assets ready for deployment. Operation Revelation. Protocols are active." Kang Hyun-soo nodded slowly. 15 years of careful preparation had led to this moment. The aliens thought they were about to teach humanity a lesson about galactic power. Instead, they were about to learn why humans had survived and thrived on one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy. Earth had produced a species that could cooperate when necessary, but never forgot how to fight when threatened. A species that could appear peaceful while secretly preparing for war. A species that had turned survival instincts into military science. Back on New Sol, Colonel Bei Ji-hai checked her equipment one final time. Her Ghost Division had been invisible to alien sensors for years, stationed on worlds throughout human space and beyond. Each soldier was equipped with technology that made them undetectable to most forms of observation. "Remember," she told her team through secure communications, "we reveal ourselves only after the first shots are fired. Let them commit fully to their attack before we show them what real warfare looks like." Her soldiers were positioned throughout the star system, some on asteroids, others on small moons, a few actually aboard alien ships that had never detected their presence. When the time came, they would strike from everywhere at once. Dr. Shin Dong-wook made final adjustments to the defense platforms hidden throughout New Sol's system. To alien sensors, they looked like simple mining equipment or communication arrays. In reality, they were weapons powerful enough to crack continents. "Sir," his assistant engineer Lim Yu-na reported, "the quantum manipulation fields are ready. Reality distortion generators are online. Time dilation weapons are charged." "Excellent. Remember, we want recordings of everything. The galaxy needs to see what really happens when you threaten human civilians." As the alien fleets drew closer, automated systems throughout human space began final preparations. Ships that had hidden in hyperspace pockets for years moved into position. Weapons platforms revealed their true configurations. Defense networks that spanned multiple star systems came online. On the reptilian command ship, Warlord Zolvek watched the human colonies with growing satisfaction. "They're not even trying to evacuate," he reported to Krexnal. "Their ships are maintaining normal traffic patterns. They must be completely paralyzed with fear." "Good," Krexnal snarled. "Fear will make the lesson more effective. The other species need to see what happens to those who challenge galactic order." Neither alien realized they were looking at one of humanity's greatest strengths, the ability to appear normal while preparing for exceptional violence. Every cargo ship was actually a disguised warship. Every mining platform was a weapons array. Every communication tower was a sensor hub mapping alien fleet positions. Hive Queen Zesra of the Swarm Collective felt a strange unease as her ships approached their target. Her species thought through mathematical probability, and something about the calculations didn't feel right. Probability analysis indicates human response should include panic behaviors, she transmitted to her sub-queens. But sensor data shows no evidence of fear responses. "Perhaps they are too primitive to understand the threat," replied one of her subordinates. "Or perhaps," Zesara said slowly, "we do not understand the humans as well as we believed." In the Yatai Galactic Assembly Hall, the few remaining representatives watched the approaching confrontation with mixed feelings. Some still believed the demonstration was necessary. Others had begun to share Mervak's concerns about what they might have overlooked. Emperor Thakvol, the highest-ranking alien leader, studied intelligence reports with growing unease. His species had ruled for 10,000 years by being very careful about potential threats. Something about this situation felt wrong. "Veltar," he said to the ancient moderator, "are we certain we understand what we're dealing with?" The old whale-like being's expression was troubled. "I fear we may be about to find out, my lord." As the final minutes ticked away before the alien fleets reached their targets, a strange quiet settled over human space. Not the quiet of fear, but the quiet of predators waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Throughout the galaxy, other species watched and waited to see what would happen when advanced alien technology met primitive human defenses. Most expected the lesson to be swift and brutal, a demonstration of why young species should know their place. None of them suspected they were about to witness the moment humanity stopped pretending to be harmless. The calm before the storm was ending. And the storm that was coming would change the galaxy forever. The first plasma bolt from Krexnal's flagship lit up the darkness around New Sol like a green star. The massive energy beam, capable of melting through a kilometer of solid rock, struck what appeared to be a simple mining platform orbiting the colony world. "Direct hit!" Zolvek announced triumphantly from the reptilian command ship. "The human mining station has been completely destroyed!" Krexnal's harsh laughter echoed through the communication channels connecting all the alien ships. "See how easily their pathetic structures crumble. This will be over before..." His words died as the smoke cleared around the target. The mining platform hung in space exactly where it had been before, completely undamaged. Its hull didn't even show scorch marks from the plasma impact. "Impossible," Zolvek whispered, staring at his instruments. "Nothing can survive a direct hit from our primary weapons." On New Sol's surface, Tech Sergeant Moon Yejin smiled as she watched the alien attack on her displays. "Finally," she said to her team, "we can stop pretending." The mining platform that had just absorbed a planet cracking. Plasma Bolt began to transform. Sections of its hull retracted to reveal arrays of weapons that made the alien plasma cannons look like children's toys. Energy signatures spiked to levels that should have been impossible for human technology. "What in the name of the void is that?" Krexnal snarled as his sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. The answer came in the form of a response beam that lanced out from the human platform. It wasn't plasma or particle energy. It was something the aliens had never encountered before. The beam seemed to bend reality around itself as it traveled across space in the blink of an eye. It struck the outer edge of Krexnal's fleet formation, hitting a heavy assault cruiser that had been considered one of the most powerful ships in the reptilian navy. The result was not an explosion. The ship simply ceased to exist, as if it had been edited out of reality itself. "Weapons report!" Krexnal roared, his scales turning pale with shock. "Unknown energy type," his weapons officer reported in a shaking voice. "Complete molecular dissolution of the target vessel. No debris, No energy signature? Nothing. It's just gone. Across the fleet, alarm signals began sounding as more human platforms revealed themselves. What had appeared to be communication towers, weather satellites, and cargo containers all transformed into weapons arrays that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about technology. Fleet Admiral Kang Hyun-soo watched the enemy fleet's confusion from his hidden command ship. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered calmly. Throughout the asteroid field that supposedly contained only rocks and ice, massive shapes began emerging from what had appeared to be empty space. Ships that dwarfed anything in the alien fleet materialized as their camouflage systems deactivated. The lead vessel, Admiral Kang's flagship Eternal Vigilance, was over 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that existed outside normal physics. Behind it, dozens of similar ships became visible as humanity's true deep space fleet revealed itself. On the reptilian command ship, chaos erupted as sensor operators tried to process what they were seeing. "Sir!" New contacts appearing throughout. "The system! Massive ships! Unknown configuration!" "How many?" Krexnell demanded. I can't get an accurate count. They're appearing faster than our sensors can track them." Hive Queen Zesra felt something she had never experienced before. Genuine fear. Her swarm mentality allowed her to process multiple data streams simultaneously, but what she was seeing didn't make mathematical sense. Human fleet composition. "Does not match intelligence reports," she transmitted urgently to the other alien commanders. "Ship count exceeds projections by factor of 20. Weapons technology unknown. Recommend immediate strategic reassessment." Colonel Bei Ji Hai chose that moment to activate Ghost Division. Throughout the alien fleet, soldiers who had been invisible for years suddenly appeared in critical locations. They had been hiding on alien ships, in asteroid fields, even in the empty space between stars, using technology that bent light and energy around them. "Ghost Division, you are clear to engage," she transmitted on secured channels. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Alien ships began exploding from the inside as human operatives revealed themselves and struck at critical systems. But these weren't random attacks. Each strike was precisely calculated to disable rather than destroy, leaving alien crews alive but helpless. "Internal security alert!" screamed voices throughout the alien fleet. "Unknown hostiles aboard multiple vessels! They're appearing everywhere!" Krexnell's ship shuddered as explosions rocked its interior. His security teams reported the impossible. Human soldiers materializing in secured areas that should have been impossible to reach. "How are they getting aboard our ships?" he roared. The answer came from one of his own security officers, his voice filled with disbelief. "Sir, they were already here. Sensor logs show they've been aboard for years." Meanwhile, Dr. Shin Dong-wook activated the reality manipulation systems he had spent a decade perfecting. Space around New Seoul began to behave in ways that violated basic physics. Alien ships found their weapons targeting systems failing as the very nature of distance and direction became fluid. "Report!" Emperor Thakvol demanded from his observation position at the edge of the system. "My lord," his tactical officer replied, voice shaking. "The humans are rewriting the fundamental laws of space-time in localized areas. Our ships can't maintain coherent targeting because the rules of physics keep changing." Engineer Lim Yu-na watched her instruments with satisfaction as the quantum field generators came online. "Time dilation active," she reported to Dr. Shin. "Enemy fleet is now experiencing temporal differential. For every minute that passes for them, we experience approximately 10 minutes. The tactical advantage was overwhelming. Human ships could move, aim, and fire, while the alien vessels seemed to crawl through space in slow motion. What should have been a battle became target practice. Captain An Seo-jun piloted his fighter squadron through the confused alien formation, his ships moving, so fast they appeared as streaks of light to the time-dilated enemy. "This is almost unfair," he transmitted to his wingmen. "Good," came the reply from his squadron leader. "They wanted to see our technology. Let's give them a complete demonstration." The human fighters weren't using conventional engines. They moved by manipulating space-time itself, folding distances and sliding through dimensions the aliens didn't even know existed. Their weapons fired projectiles that existed in multiple realities simultaneously, making defense impossible. Warlord Grexam, commanding the Allied alien forces attacking Kepler 442b, watched in horror as similar scenes played out around his target. Human defenses that should have been simple mining equipment were systematically dismantling his fleet with weapons that seemed to come from science fiction. "All ships, retreat to safe distance," he ordered desperately. But there was no safe distance. Human weapons reached across space itself, striking targets through folded dimensions and quantum tunneling. Ships that tried to escape found their hyperspace drives mysteriously failing, trapped in a star system that had become a demonstration of technological superiority beyond their wildest fears. In the Galactic Assembly Hall, the few remaining representatives watched the battle unfold through long-range sensors. What they saw challenged everything they thought they knew about human capabilities. Veltar's ancient voice was barely a whisper. "By the void! What have we done?" The energy being Quintel flickered rapidly, the equivalent of hyperventilation for his species. "This is impossible. Our intelligence reported primitive chemical rockets and ballistic weapons." "Our intelligence," said Mervok grimly, "reported exactly what the humans wanted us to see." As the one-sided battle continued, it became clear that the alien fleets weren't being destroyed. They were being systematically disabled and captured. Human forces showed surgical precision, taking out weapons and engines while leaving life. "Support intact. They're not trying to kill us," Zolvek realized with growing horror. "They're studying us." The thought was even more terrifying than destruction. The humans had revealed technology that made the most advanced alien civilizations look primitive, and they were using it with restraint that suggested they possessed even greater capabilities they hadn't yet shown. Krexanol's proud fleet of 300 ships was now reduced to floating hulks, their crews alive but completely helpless. The mighty reptilian warlord who had laughed at human weakness found himself facing the terrifying reality of human strength. "Open communications," he ordered with what remained of his dignity. I wish to discuss terms." The response came, not from New Seoul, but from the massive human flagship that had appeared as if from nowhere. Admiral Kang Hyun-soo's calm voice carried across space with quiet authority. "Terms will be discussed when all hostile actions have ceased and your surrender is complete. You wanted to see what humans are capable of when threatened. This demonstration has barely begun. The galaxy would never be the same." General Song Chang-min stood in the command center of humanity's most secret facility, buried 3 kilometers beneath Earth's surface. For 15 years, he had overseen the development of weapons and technologies that existed beyond the imagination of any alien species. Today, for the first time, he was authorized to use them. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different alien commanders across all 3 target systems." "Denied," Song replied without hesitation. "They wanted a demonstration of human military capability. They're going to get one." The screens around him showed tactical displays from across human space. What the aliens had thought would be 3 quick strikes against helpless colonies had become the most comprehensive military demonstration in galactic history. Captain An Seo-jun guided his fighter, the Iron Will, through the wreckage of what had been Krexnol's outer defensive line. The alien ships weren't destroyed. They had been systematically disabled with precision that amazed even him. Every weapon disabled, every engine neutralized, every system shut down except life support. "Control, this is Iron Wing Leader." He transmitted. "All enemy vessels in Sector 7 are neutralized, beginning Phase 3 operations. Acknowledged, Iron Wing. You are cleared for reality demonstration." An Seo-jun smiled as he activated systems that existed outside normal physics. His fighter began to change, not mechanically but fundamentally. The ship's matter started existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously, becoming something that could interact with reality in ways that broke every known law of science. He flew directly at the massive hull of an alien dreadnought. Instead of colliding, his ship passed through the enemy vessel like it was made of mist. But as he passed through, his weapons fired from inside the ship's structure, precisely targeting every critical system. The alien crew watched in terror as a human fighter appeared inside their heavily armored vessel, disabled their remaining systems, and vanished through the opposite hull as if solid matter meant nothing. "Impossible," whispered the ship's commander. "Nothing can phase through our neutronium armor." Engineer Lim Yu-na was just getting started with her reality engines. From her position on New Seoul, she began rewriting the fundamental constants of physics in localized areas around the alien fleets. In one region, she changed the speed of light, making alien energy weapons crawl through space, while human projectiles moved at normal velocity. In another area, she altered the gravitational constant, causing massive alien ships to suddenly weigh as much as planets and collapse under their own mass. Gravitational weapons online, she reported to Dr. Shin Dong-wook. Time manipulation active. Dimensional barriers established. The enemy fleets are now existing in 12 different reality states simultaneously. The aliens found themselves fighting a war where the rules changed every few seconds. Weapons that worked perfectly in one moment became useless the next as the laws of physics shifted around them. Ships designed for three-dimensional space found themselves trapped in four-dimensional mazes with no way out. Specialist. Ko Jae-sung led his tactical team through the corridors of an alien command ship that they had been secretly infiltrating for 3 years. To the reptilian crew, the humans appeared and disappeared like ghosts, always knowing exactly where to strike for maximum effect. Target secured, he reported as his team took control of the ship's bridge. Alien command staff neutralized with non-lethal weapons. All security codes and tactical information downloaded. This scene was repeated throughout the alien fleets. Human special forces teams that had been placed years in advance revealed themselves simultaneously, taking control of key vessels with coordinated precision that demonstrated planning on an almost incomprehensible scale. Emperor Thakvol watched the systematic dismantling of the Galactic Alliance's most powerful fleets from his observation ship at the edge of the system. His species had ruled for 10,000 years by understanding military power, but what he was witnessing defied all logic. "How many ships do the humans actually have?" he asked his tactical advisor. "Sir, we've identified over 2,000 vessels so far, and new ones keep appearing. Our original intelligence suggested they had perhaps 50 ships total." 2,000, Thakvol repeated numbly. "And their capabilities?" The advisor's voice shook as he consulted his reports. "They appear to have developed technology that manipulates the fundamental forces of reality itself. Matter manipulation, time control, dimensional travel, gravity weapons, and physics manipulation on a scale we didn't think was possible." Supreme Admiral Ryu Jun-ho materialized on the bridge of Krexnal's flagship, having transported there directly through folded space. The reptilian warlord who had laughed at human weakness now cowered before a human officer whose very presence seemed to bend reality around him. "Warlord Krexnal," Ryu said politely, "I believe you wanted to discuss human military capabilities. Please," Krexnal begged, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "We surrender! We didn't know! We thought you were primitive!" "You thought correctly," Ryu replied calmly. "By your standards, we are primitive. We still use kinetic weapons and chemical explosives, but we use them in ways you never imagined possible." He gestured, and the space around them filled with holographic displays showing human weapons in action, kinetic projectiles that traveled through folded space to strike targets in other dimensions, chemical explosives that burned at the temperature of stars, nuclear weapons that existed in quantum superposition, detonating in multiple realities simultaneously. "You see," Ryu continued, "you assumed that advanced technology meant energy weapons and exotic matter. But humans learned long ago that the most effective weapons are the ones your enemy doesn't understand." Throughout the battle zone, the true scope of human military technology became apparent. Ships emerged from hyperspace pockets that had been hiding entire fleets for years. Weapons platforms revealed themselves from inside asteroids, moons, and even alien planets where they had been secretly constructed. The planet-cracking device that Lim Yu-na activated was perhaps the most terrifying demonstration. A small probe, no larger than a human fist, flew toward a lifeless moon near the battle zone. When it made contact, the moon didn't explode. It simply unraveled at the atomic level, its matter converting to pure energy in a controlled cascade that provided power for the entire human fleet. "Dear Void," whispered Hive Queen Zessara as she calculated the energy output. "They just converted an entire celestial body to power their weapons. The mathematics are incomprehensible." But even more frightening than the weapons was the coordination. Every human action was perfectly timed, every strike precisely calculated. The aliens were facing an enemy that had spent 15 years studying their every weakness and developing specific counters to their every strength. Captain Choi Min-ho's voice came through on all alien communication channels as human forces completed their systematic takeover of the invasion fleets. Attention alien commanders. You are now witnessing what humans call a proportional response. You brought approximately 1,000 ships to threaten our 3 colonies. We have responded with less than 10% of our available military assets. The words sent a chill through every alien who heard them. 10%? If this overwhelming display of technological superiority represented only a fraction of human capabilities, what could they do at full strength? General Song Chang-min made the decision to answer that question. Activate Project Revelation, he ordered. Show them what we've really been building. Across the galaxy, hidden facilities that had been disguised as research stations, mining, operations, and communication arrays revealed their true nature. Massive installations that dwarfed entire planets began emerging from stealth fields that had hidden them for over a decade. The largest, hidden in the asteroid belt of humanity's home system, was a construction facility the size of Earth's moon. As its camouflage deactivated, alien long-range sensors detected something that challenged their understanding of engineering. A shipyard that was building vessels over 10 kilometers long, using technologies that seemed to rewrite physics on an industrial scale. By the eternal darkness, Emperor Thakvol breathed as he saw the readings. They haven't just been hiding ships. They've been building an entirely separate civilization. The truth was even more staggering than he imagined. Humanity had used their first 15 years in galactic society to secretly establish infrastructure throughout known space and beyond. Every primitive human colony was actually a military outpost. Every simple cargo ship was a disguised warship. Every basic research station was a weapons laboratory. Sir, Admiral Ryu reported to General Song, all alien fleets have been neutralized. 0 human casualties. Enemy forces are requesting immediate ceasefire. Grant the ceasefire, Song replied. But make it clear that this was a defensive action. Any further aggression will result in a response using our full capabilities. The alien commanders who received this message understood the implications immediately. If this had been a defensive action using minimal force, what would happen if humanity ever decided to go on the offensive? As the weapons powered down and the reality distortion stabilized, the galaxy found itself facing a new truth. The species they had, the Galactic Assembly Hall, had never been so quiet. Where once 47 different species had gathered in confidence to discuss containing the human threat, now only 32 remained. The others had fled after witnessing the systematic dismantling of the galaxy's most powerful military forces. President Han Suk-young of Earth walked slowly down the center aisle, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. She wore simple black formal wear, no weapons, no guards, no visible technology. She didn't need any. Outside the crystal dome, human dreadnoughts hung in space like sleeping giants, their presence making any hostile action impossible. Supreme. Admiral Ryu Jun-ho followed 2 steps behind her, his uniform bearing decorations that represented victories the aliens were only now beginning to understand. The man who had appeared on their ships like a ghost now walked openly among them, no longer hiding what he truly was. Ambassador Park Ji-woo took her place at the speaking platform, the same place where alien representatives had laughed at human, primitive technology just 1 week ago. The chamber that had once been filled with mocking laughter was now so silent that her breathing seemed loud. Honored representatives, Park began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. Earth requested this emergency session to address certain misunderstandings that arose during recent military exercises. Military exercises. The words hit the remaining aliens like physical blows. What they had witnessed wasn't even considered a real battle by human standards. Veltar the Wise, his ancient features showing exhaustion and fear, spoke first. Ambassador Park, we had no idea of your true capabilities. Our intelligence was clearly inadequate. Your intelligence was perfect, President Han replied as she stepped forward. "You saw exactly what we wanted you to see. For 15 years, every human ship, every colony, every technology demonstration was carefully designed to match your expectations." She gestured, and holographic displays filled the air above the assembly. They showed human ships transforming, from simple cargo vessels to advanced warships, mining platforms revealing weapons arrays, and research stations becoming military command centers. "You believed we were primitive because we wanted you to believe it," Han continued. "While you were comfortable in your superiority, we were studying every aspect of your military capabilities, your technologies, your weaknesses." Emperor Thakvol, the highest-ranking alien present, found his voice. "But why? Why hide your true nature?" Commander Lee Tae-ho, no longer concealing his true rank as Director of Human Strategic Intelligence, answered that question. "Because, Your Majesty, we learned a very important lesson from studying galactic history. Every time a new species appears with obvious military power, they are immediately attacked by coalitions of existing powers who see them as threats. The holographic displays change to show historical records of exactly such conflicts. Species after species destroyed or subjugated when they revealed advanced capabilities too early. So we chose a different approach," Lee continued. "We appeared weak while building strength. We studied you while you ignored us. We prepared for this exact scenario while you planned our containment." Krexnell, who had been brought from his captured flagship to witness this moment, could barely speak. The proud reptilian warlord who had led the attack now sat in restraints, his earlier arrogance completely shattered. You planned this from the beginning?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "From the moment we made first contact," President Han confirmed. "We knew that eventually some of you would decide we were growing too quickly. We knew you would try to contain us. So we prepared accordingly." Yin Ara, the insectoid representative, clicked her mandibles rapidly as she processed the implications. "The mathematical probability of such long-term deception succeeding should have been minimal. How did you maintain such comprehensive operational security?" Dr. Kim Hanul, no longer disguised as a simple researcher, stepped forward. "Because every human involved understood the stakes. Every colonist, every trader, every diplomat knew they were part of a larger strategy. We are very good at working together when survival is at stake." The alien representatives looked around the chamber, suddenly understanding how completely they had been outmaneuvered. Every interaction with humans, every trade deal, every cultural exchange had been an intelligence-gathering operation. "Your Excellency," Quintel, the energy being, flickered nervously as he addressed President Han. "What happens now? Will you conquer us?" President Han smiled, but it was not a comforting expression. "Conquer you? Why would we do that? You're much more useful as independent trading partners than as conquered territories." She paused, letting that sink in before continuing. "However, the galactic balance of power has clearly shifted. The illusion that humans are weak newcomers has been corrected." Supreme Admiral Ryu stepped forward and activated a new set of holographic displays. These showed not the recent battle, but a comprehensive map of human military assets throughout the galaxy. "For your reference," he said calmly, "these displays show the current disposition of human forces. As you can see, we have significant military presence in or near every major star system." The aliens stared in growing horror as red dots appeared on the galactic map. There were thousands of them. Human bases, hidden fleets, weapons platforms, and intelligence facilities were revealed to exist in locations that had been considered completely secure. "Impossible," breathed Hive Queen Zessera. "Our home systems show human installations. How long have you been there?" "Approximately 12 years, Admiral Ryu replied matter-of-factly. "We found it useful to have advance warning of potential threats." Mervok, the trader who had tried to warn everyone, spoke up with grim satisfaction. "I tried to tell you all. The humans were different. They learned too quickly, asked too many questions, showed too little fear." "Indeed," President Han nodded, to him respectfully. "Your warnings were accurate, Mervok. Unfortunately for your colleagues, they chose not to listen. The implications were staggering. Every alien military secret, every defensive position, every strategic resource had been under human observation for years. The species that had considered themselves the masters of the galaxy discovered they had been completely penetrated by enemies they had dismissed as insignificant. "What are your terms?" Emperor Thakval asked quietly, accepting the new reality. President Han looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every remaining representative. "Our terms are simple. The galactic community will continue to function as before, with one major change. Humanity is no longer subject to containment protocols, territorial restrictions, or military limitations." She gestured to Ambassador Park, who stepped forward with a formal document. "The new galactic accords recognize Earth as a sovereign military power with full rights to self-defense and territorial expansion. Any attempt to restrict human activities will be considered an act of war." "And if we refuse?" Krexnal asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Admiral Ryu smiled coldly. "Then you will discover what a human military response looks like when we're not being gentle." The chamber fell silent again as the aliens absorbed this information. Finally, Veltar spoke for all of them. We accept the new terms." "Excellent," President Han replied. "Now, there is one more matter to address." She turned to look directly at Krexnal, who had started this crisis with his mocking laughter and demands for human submission. "Warlord Krexnal, you expressed considerable amusement at human military capabilities. You laughed at our primitive weapons and pathetic defenses. Would you care to share your current assessment?" Krexnal opened his mouth, perhaps to make one final defiant statement. But as he looked around the chamber, at the human dreadnoughts visible through the crystal dome, at the holographic displays showing humanity's true military power, at the faces of alien representatives who now understood they had been living at human sufferance for over a decade, no sound came out. The laugh that had started this confrontation died in his throat, replaced by the cold understanding of just how completely he had miscalculated. The silence stretched on, broken only by the soft hum of human technology that now surrounded them all. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke. The galaxy's most powerful leaders sat in stunned recognition of a new reality. Humanity had revealed its true strength, and the room would never be anything but silent in their presence again. President Han turned and walked back up the aisle, followed by her retinue. At the doorway, she paused and looked back one final time. "The next session of the Galactic Assembly will convene in 1 month," she announced. "Earth looks forward to working with you all as equal partners in maintaining galactic peace and prosperity." The words "equal partners" carried the weight of absolute military supremacy behind them. As the humans departed, the remaining aliens sat in their respective sections, each contemplating the same terrifying truth. The galaxy had a new apex predator, and it had been hiding among them all along, patient and watching, until the moment came to bare its teeth. The age of human dominance had begun not with conquest, but with the simple revelation of power that had always been there, waiting in the silence.